Okay. So if you recall, the arms are going to be halfway. This front leg is moving forward, so the front arm is going to be moving back. And again, I find it easiest to start by moving all three parts. And then I can kind of finesse it any way I really like. Just kind of gets in the same vicinity. And the back arm, moving forward. It will be halfway between where it is behind the body and here. Since we're doing the tilt, we'll just tilt her head back. Right? And because she's moving upwards, the skirt's going to move down. And then upwards, so it's in between. There we go. So now, I'll move. It's going to happen real fast, but she's moving. So this is where I kind of get to, and there's a little hold because that contact one is playing twice, but we need it for the tween. So that's why it's there. So now I can say, okay, maybe here on the down, since she's kind of leaning forward, maybe I also want her to lean forward at the hips as well. Right, so then I would go to both my downs. Select everything. And on the ups, maybe I would want those parts to skirt. Maybe I want them to lean a little bit back. Okay. So then I do the same thing on my other arm.
There we go, that's scam. Which should I KSM with?
So here, on that down, these arms are swinging out a little bit more. I think I need to exaggerate this one a little bit more. Just because it looked like.
No, it's about vibration. I feel like something my mother calls me and I don't even hear it.
Okay, that looks better.
I said, what? That's a problem. No, I mean, that was the word that was what I was saying.
Okay, so now here on the down, I'm going to move her little hat tip up. I'm going to have it a little bit up on passing too. On up, I'm going to have it flop down.
And would it be fair to say that I could just imagine the hat tip to be just like my character's tail?
Exactly, yeah. Or in your case, Jordan, your character's ponytail. It's the same exact principle. Right? And then even with something like a facial expression, like, I know we're not really worrying too much about the face, but a lot of times what you can do is something like an eyebrow or a pupil will, you know, move in opposition as well because the character is looking straight ahead. So even something like that can just add a little bit of visual interest. Okay, so then once this is all done and it's all positioned and we're pretty satisfied with it, right guys?
Yeah.
Here, I'll put it on. I think that one down here on down 2, this arm's a little extreme. So I'm gonna bring it down a notch. On contact 2, I'm gonna make sure it's even further down. So that way when it goes up and at the widest post, it's most noticeable. Same thing here. I think this might be a little extreme. And then the down 2 makes more sense. Okay? See, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do to put it on March 9th, if you recall that between each of our key poses, we needed 2 frames, 2 more poses, right, of animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight all the way down, and I'm going to do it on my notes too, so that way they move with my keyframes. And I'm just going to press F5 twice. Let me go back to medium. The last one we don't do it to because it's just repeating contact 1. So I'm going to highlight over all of them, and I'm going to say create classic tween. Right? Now I can kind of preview it. Let me put it on loop. And it's going a little bit slow right now just because I have the recording stuff going. So it's not going in real time. And I can already see that the feet are kind of popping off on a few of those in between frames. So it's stuff like that that we're gonna have to go finesse. Since we don't have any frames of nested animation to pull out, I don't have to worry about it interfering with that process. So like right here, what I would do is I would just click and drag and move it into place, and it automatically creates a keyframe. Okay. And I would go through and check each frame of animation. Anytime it pops off, I'm just going to take it, I'm going to put it back into place. Okay, here. They're both kind of popping off.
That might be just because you made these really small.
Part of it, yeah. And part of it could be the pivot point placement as well. Usually it's pivot point. That worked the best for the clearly going to be the best on this puppet for the tweens, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I'm just gonna go through, like even right here, it's not on that normal keyframe. Line it up, because that can affect the tween as well if it's not keyframed well. So I'm gonna come here. This animate's doing it. It's doing its darndest to put it where it thinks you want it. But at the end of the day, it's just a program.
Well, the thing is that the toe is all very triangular and small, and they're trying to fill in gaps.
No, there's no gaps to fill in.
I mean,
It's doing the movement. But you have to remember, this isn't like Maya where it's also taking into account, you know, that Z space, which could help position it a little bit more succinctly.
so tweening
And things like feet and wrists come off all the time, and it's just a matter of going through and
so
kind of
tweening
seeing.
in Maya is a little more.
Well, you have the added difficulty of the rotation. Rotations you have to really keep in mind with Maya because they can go negative or positive, and if you're trying to animate something in the positive but your numbers are negative, it's going to spin around like The Exorcist. And it's not going to be what you want. You're going to be like, why the heck are you doing that, Maya? Do you hate me? And the answer is probably, yeah, I don't like any humans. But it's also because of the rotations.
So basically it adds 2 extra features, but you have to finagle with them, but once you do, it might look better.
Maya's one of those programs where if you mess up, you're better off just starting over, undoing and starting over. Usually messing around in Maya more just creates a bigger mess. But that's part of the reasons why we're using Adobe Animate is because it's so manual that you get really comfortable with the process of creation and using an interface and working digitally, that it really helps when we even get into Maya. So I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to say, like, I think here this needs to come back a couple frames. So you're just going to do a couple passes on those tricky parts to make sure nothing's coming off where you don't want it. That looks a whole lot better. I'm going to extend my guide there. Sometimes viewing it in reverse can help too. But yeah, That's the walk cycle. And then what we could do, what I want you guys to do for your projects too, is we're gonna take all of these, we're gonna right click and we're gonna say cut layers. We're gonna insert new symbol, and this is gonna be at your character's name, walk. Whoops. Caps lock.
Lock is your friend as much as your worst nightmare.
I know. Caps lock, bitch, walk. And the at symbol, we'll put it towards the top. Where do you go? There we go. I'm on the right file. There we go. Now we're inside that layer, and I'm just going to paste layers. And so my witch is here. And it's okay if she's not on that center point. It doesn't really matter too much. So now what I can do is I can come back out here on the main stage, and I can name this witch walk, right? I can drag out her walking here, right? I can place her over here. Let's see how far she gets in 3 seconds.
Will be the person that's facing towards the other character.
That might be too
And
fast.
Just, the other character's just off to the side, really.
I just wanted us to
Actually, that's pretty close. It looks like her feet aren't sliding too much,
that way.
except here at the end.
Says, oh, over the shoulder has 2 characters in it technically. And then
Yeah.
this one says, oh, it's just one. And then they get labeled differently.
There we go.
So
And
as long
then
as
she
we're on
can
the
just
same
walk
page,
across the stage,
That's why you could
right?
like if it's 11A.
Or maybe she's starting from like up here, and she's really small.
And it'll be the other side because they're technically two different,
Right.
two completely different.
And as she walks, she gets
two
closer.
completely different
Or the
shots.
camera's zooming into her, right? Maybe the camera's zooming in and she's actually right here at the end.
So
Right.
color chart for now. Say,
And then she would keep on walking. What you do want to recall though is that whatever frame you keyframe on is going to be that frame of nested animation. So sometimes if you're moving around those last keyframes, you'll want to remove the tween and re-keyframe it, just so it ends on the right frame number.
Let's make it pink.
and then
Because pink is pink.
And then the white shots.
Like the camera's panning in, right?
maybe
Or, conversely, let's have her just kind of
landscape /
walking over here.
what color did you say? Orange?
I'm just gonna make a really simple,
Yeah, these will be kind of
just getting these trees.
And white shots.
All I'm going to do is I'm gonna go to my rectangle tool, I'm gonna go to color, and I start
I
color.
think various would be like yellow.
Gonna turn stroke,
Like
oops.
yellow. I think various would be like yellow. If it's
Stroke
like
to
medium
nothing,
close
fill,
up or like medium
is the
long
color that I
showing.
want.
Semi-long showing.
Let's start with this. Come up with other colors and can you access the Google Doc already?
Yeah.
So why don't we just
So I'm essentially extending the background way off of the stage,
why don't you just label one of each?
because what I can do then
So you can match your color, you know, because there's different radiation.
is I can say, hey, my character's walking in place, but my trees are gonna move.
So are we like color? So are we putting like color in the boxes or like the text? Or both?
So it's gonna create this illusion that she's walking through a forest. Right? And that's where it loops. But that's why walk cycle loops are really handy, because you can do this sort of stuff with them.
That makes sense.
And then, you know, there's more finessing you could do. There's more of the skirt I can do. I could really finesse this for like another good hour and make it really, really nice and polished. But this is the basics, and this is where we want to get to by Friday. So that way you guys have the weekend to make those finesses and to add in this moving background and all that stuff. Okay? So that's that for the walkthrough, and I will upload the recording